Run it up, then run it back. Run it up, then run it back. Run it up, run it back. Run it up, then run it back.
Happy Monday. Good morning. Welcome to Run It Back from our respective homes. Oh, look who's joining us for the entire show, Lou. It's Georges Niang. By the way, where are you today, bud?
Welcome. I've been hidden this whole year. I can't disclose this information. No, I don't. I don't at all. I'm fighting for my day job all year next year.
I know, buddy. You'll be back. No, seriously, you're somewhere in the United States. I just can't figure out where.
Yeah.
The vanilla, the beige. I'm gonna go Midwest. Am I right?
All right, get over it, Beat.
You're too good. You're too good.
Dude, I spend my days watching
She's
true
a background
crime.
studier, George. You'll come to learn that. She studies backgrounds.
I like the backgrounds.
He tried to tell me that I had
ATL.
pillows, that I didn't have pillows in my house, that's been there the whole time. So don't worry.
You had a rolled up carpet that had not been there the whole time. These are facts. Facts on facts.
Chandler
Chandler might join us later. We might be blessed by his presence. But for now, it was a weekend in this lovely league of ours. Good, bad, and ugly, quite frankly. We start with the ugly. Lakers. Not just losing Luka over the course of the weekend when Shams reported that he's got a grade 2 hamstring injury, but then on Saturday we find out they're also going to be without Austin Reaves for about 4 to 6 weeks with an oblique strain. I got to be honest, guys, like I felt bad. My heartless self felt bad when I saw this news, Lou, because here we were talking, Lakers might actually break some hearts and disrupt some stuff, and now I don't know what to make of any of this. What do you think?
Yeah, well, first things first, wishing both of those guys a healthy and speedy recovery. The game is much better with both of those guys involved. So you hate to see them go down, and especially at this juncture of the season where, a lot of teams are loading up, getting ready for a great postseason run. And the Lakers were in the thick of things. They were right there in that conversation. And now you have your one and your number two guys go down, and that puts a lot of responsibility on LeBron James and co. And as you could see last night, that game against Dallas, LeBron James is used to being the number one guy. He's used to carrying a basketball team and putting them in a position to try to win basketball games. They just didn't have the firepower around that to sustain against the Dallas Mavericks team who, by all accounts, really don't want to win a lot of these games and want to try to, put themselves in the best position possible for the next year. But give credit where it's due. Cooper Flagg had a hell of a night. He went out there and balled out like crazy, and he took advantage of the opportunity of a team that was limping into that game. But, on the Lakers side of things, I just don't know where they go from here. This is going to bleed into the playoffs. It's going to bleed into a important first round matchup with, whether it's going to be Houston or whether it's going to be Minnesota. They're going to need everybody on deck, and they don't have the guys that they absolutely need to be there. So that's going to be an interesting thing to see how they adjust in the next 8 days before these playoffs do start. But as you can see last night, like I said, LeBron James, he stepped in the gaps, did everything he could. But where did they go around that? Is it going to be LaRavia? Is he going to be a guy that's going to step in and be a scoring punch that they need? Jackson Hayes last night had 23 points off the bench. That's a great night for him, and that'd be a great added bonus for the Lakers. But is that something that's sustainable that you can rely on game after game going into the postseason? DeAndre Ayton is going to be a guy that's going to have to step up and be one of the marquee guys, hopefully until one or either both of these guys get back in the lineup for the Lakers. But right now, it's nasty work. This is a bad part of the season to have these type of injuries, and for the amount of time that these guys are going to be out, it's going to create some adversity for the Lakers. So we'll see how they deal with it.
Yeah, I think that's super unfortunate for the Lakers, especially at this point. I mean, Lou, you can attest to it when you're looking forward to going to the playoffs at the end of the year. You're like, I know what I get from my 1 through 5 guys. Now, maybe the last 4 games of the season, am I looking to see what I can get from 5 through 10 or 5 through 11? Now JJ Redick has to look at his team and be like, what 5 through 11 guys can I move over to slide into starting lineups to bigger roles that they haven't prepared for throughout the year? And it's really unfortunate because, Luka was having an amazing year. Austin Reaves is having a phenomenal year. We know what LeBron is and what he can give us, as you saw last night against Dallas. Now it's how long can the Lakers sustain with the pieces that they have? And sometimes it's achievable. Great things do happen, but it's going to be a tall task. I mean, hopefully they draw a favorable matchup in the first round, but the West is a complete gauntlet at this point.
I I mean, not one, but two. Do you guys know any guys who went over to Europe to get the specialized treatment? Because I know that is also what
Chandler.
That's up.
That's all Chandler
Yeah,
did.
it would be nice to ask Chandler. Maybe we'll get to on this glorious Monday. Yeah, because I'm wondering that is reported. Luka's headed overseas. That's from the Lakers medical, from his own personal medical. They're going to go see if they can get some specialized treatment to speed things up a little bit. It is fascinating though that you can go over there and get things done that you can't get over here. Don't get me started on that. Maybe when Chandler gets here, we'll ask him because I am curious to know what he had done over there that he couldn't do here. What they look like as a team without Austin Reaves and Luka, well, we got a nice little taste of that against the Dallas Mavericks, and it's not great. So now I ask you this, and I'll start with you, George. Right now, they'd be matched up with Minnesota if things started. Is there a world in which you could see this version of the Lakers? And yes, LeBron is still there, but the other two are gone, beating Minnesota in the first round.
I mean, we're talking about the same Minnesota team that, took, Jokic down to the wire. They beat the Nuggets, a couple years ago. Anthony Edwards is only trending up. I don't see this as a favorable matchup for the Lakers. Obviously missing two of the three-headed monster. I don't see that being a favorable matchup for the Lakers whatsoever. So hopefully that treatment overseas, we can get Luka back over there and maybe send Austin along with him to have those two come back, because that I don't know, Lou, you tell me, that could be a gentleman's, or that could be quick work.
Yeah, and George, I don't know the timeline of Edwards being out, right? But even if you look at Minnesota, they just got more firepower. They got more guys that's been in that position to help win a basketball game, right? Like they've even found something in Mike Conley again, and he's playing valuable minutes and doing everything that he can do. I know they lost a tough one last night to the Charlotte Hornets, so they have their fair share of issues as well. But when you look at this Lakers team, when you have the one and the two guy go out, like if Minnesota had Julius Randle go out along with Anthony Edwards, we might have a conversation to say, well, let's see who's the better of the two teams with their supporting cast. But again, when you got LeBron James and he becomes your number one option again at this stage of his career, he's going to give you an opportunity to win basketball games. But it's no secret he's going to need help with that team, with the West and how it's built and all of these talented teams. So if it comes down to a Minnesota matchup, everybody has to bring up their level of play. Luke Kennard, down to Jackson Hayes, like I said, Marcus Smart, DeAndre Ayton. All of these guys are reputable guys, but now they are forced to be in a position that they haven't been in. They were the supporting cast when you had Luka and when you had Austin Reaves in the lineup. Now that they're out of the lineup, you need these guys to step up and be household names. Like you need a guy like Luke Kennard who had some decent reps last night, got a bunch of shots up, but whatever that is, it got to go up 5 shots. LaRavia, it got to go up 5 shots. Jackson Hayes did everything that he needed to do. He ran the floor. He was a lob threat. He was a pick and roll threat. He did everything that he needed to do and did his part. DeAndre Ayton played last night. He was in the right positions. Now, in playoff basketball, as you know, George, something is going to get taken away. And 9 times out of 10, with Luka and Austin Reaves out of the lineup, that's gonna be LeBron James. They're going to try to minimize his touches in the ways that he's going to play the game and be comfortable. So what does that leave you? That leave you other guys that's going to have to go out there and fill in the blanks and try to win a basketball game after basketball game in a 7-game series. And right now, with the way that Minnesota's playing, with the way that the Lakers is playing, it's going to be an interesting matchup. And I really can't call it, but if I had to, with any team with Luka out of the lineup, any team with Austin Reaves out of the lineup, it's just going to be tough to compete against anybody in the 7-game series right now.
So does that go for Houston too? Like there's nothing a little more favorable, less favorable than if it's the Rockets, because that's also possible.
That's worse to me.
Yeah.
That's worse. Go ahead, George.
Yeah. You've been accustomed to playing one way with those two guys as facilitators, as scorers. I don't know exactly what the numbers are, but they probably make up for a lot of points, assists, and now you have to completely throw that out the window and be like, okay,
about
LeBron,
60 points, about close to 60.
Yeah,
Close
I
to
mean,
60.
how do you make up with that? I mean, as a role player, I'm going into the playoffs And I'm like, okay, these are the things that I need to do for us to be successful and, you know, for me to have a good playoff series if we play here. And now when you take those two out of lineups, I would be thinking like, okay, now that's 3 less corner threes that I'm getting because Luka's not in the lineup. So he's not creating. So how am I going to get 3 more threes up? And you have guys down the line, like what is it going to look like for Hachimura, you know, who's been shooting the ball really well from 3 this year? How is he going to create offense? Do we now get him more post touches, or does that kind of mess up DeAndre Ayton and Jackson Hayes? Because, you know, now we have, you know, someone that's not coming down, getting downhill and using as a lob threat. So it just creates so many questions going into a playoff series, and you only have 4 games to kind of rehearse how you're going to do things. And it just really makes things difficult. And what I've learned in the playoffs is you want to be a part of a team that has the least amount of distractions moving forward and the least amount of question marks.
Absolutely.
It's still a little surreal. Like, this is crazy that both these guys are out.
The time is so bad.
It's a lot. It's a lot to digest in a 48-hour period of time. We know that the Reaves situation that has been lingering for the Lakers. They're gonna have a big decision. He is eligible for a max deal. That's just a whopping 5-year, $241 million. Nice. We know a lot about him. He's had a career year in scoring. You guys, I don't know, Lou, if you're writing those checks, you doing this?
Listen, I want everybody to get their money, right? But when you look at the Los Angeles Lakers, they're about star power. They're about absolute bona fide stars. And if somebody's eligible for a max extension and you feel like he's worthy of that and you feel like he can become one of those like Austin Reaves has done, and he's put himself in a great position, absolutely you look at that. But I think the Lakers are also going to look around the league and see who can we bring in not only to win us basketball games, but continue on in the Showtime Lakers and what we do. As you know, they don't develop talent. The Los Angeles Lakers, they compete for championships. And if they feel like Austin Reaves is a guy that's going to be a corner piece or a centerpiece for them to win a championship, he's going to have the opportunity to go out and get that max. So if I'm the Lakers, I don't know if it's not my decision to make, but I'm sure they're going to look around and see if they can go get a household name. If not, if Austin Reaves is the guy that they feel like they can be bona fide and can develop into being a household name, like I said, like he's done so and had an opportunity to be an all-star and have an opportunity to be a perennial all-star, I say they do it. He's done everything to deserve the money. It's just a matter of whether the Lakers feel like he's the guy to pair up with Luka to get them an opportunity to win a championship.
Are they scary, George? If you have Luka and Austin moving forward, are folks scared?
You know, I think after seeing them the back half of this year, you know, I think you do what you can to bring Austin Reaves back. I think them being a top 3 team in the West, I would try and keep that together, because you don't know what's going to happen with OKC, right? With the implications of the salary cap and all those rules. You don't know how they're going to have to move off people and what that's going to look like. So you kind of want to keep what you got going on together. But as you know, this is a business at the end of the day, and the Los Angeles Lakers are a box office, and I'm sure they will be looking to bring in a household name. But with that being said, I would love to see what it would look like if they could keep those pieces together, because I think what they've been able to show the back half of the year has been pretty impressive. You know, they've been winning a ton of games, and those two and LeBron have been a huge piece of that.
This is for the folks on the West Coast, because I mean, we've watched Austin Reaves just grow up. This kid was like on the back of buses his rookie year for these cheesy Lemon Law ads that he was doing for God knows how many dollars. So I find this fascinating and so awesome to sort of see a kid do all this. George, we haven't really gotten to talk to you, obviously, since all the numbers, the 65 game threshold, and how it's brutally going to come into effect this season. Luka no longer, as of this moment, qualifies for any of the postseason awards because he's at 64. Now, he is, through his agent, going to file an extraordinary circumstances challenge because he did miss 2 games for the birth of his daughter out in Slovenia. And we know all of the numbers. He's got some gaudy stats this season. So do you think, and it can be any change, but do you think something happens to the 65 game rule after this season?
Yeah, I definitely think, you know, something needs to change, whether if it's measuring out the severity of injuries, if, you know, the NBA is going to bring in their doctors to qualify games that count against you and don't, whether, because, you know, I know it was brought in because of the load management and different things like that. But I think in this scenario, it's 64 games. He's 1 game off. He's had a phenomenal year. I think he's made it a point of emphasis to play games, and he's done that. But as far as, axing the rule, I think there can be some tinkers to it, because it was essentially put in to, push stars to not sit out for load management and have guys, play games. I think, we've kind of pushed a point of emphasis here that, we want guys and our stars to play in games, and I think they get the point. Maybe there's a better way to punish them, but, I think we're going to have to make some tinkers to this 65-game rule, because in this instance, this is crazy. I mean, are you going to risk this guy getting injured and put him out there for 1 second, sub him out so he can say that he's played 65 games?
Wait, actually, if he hadn't got the technical, he wouldn't have missed the that one game, and he would have already hit the 65.
But that's yes. Some people will make that point like Beadle.
This is a point.
You're annoying. You're annoying.
Sorry, I'm a hall monitor. I did not mean. I just wanted to bring up some facts.
That's one way, but also you can't punish a guy for being present for the birth of his child as well, and that was 2 games. So all of these things weigh in, right? Like, technicals are part of the game, but also we got real life going on as well. So those 2 games are accounted for as well. So I don't mind them, filing a junction to try to get him back eligible for these postseason awards, because not only is it just respect and reputation. First team, second team, and third team, I'm sure these guys got incentives. And we're talking about not hundreds of millions of dollars, but we're talking about millions of dollars. Whatever those numbers are in their contracts, that's going to cost you a lot of cheese. And so if I'm Bill Duffy, I'm doing this right because, I got some money tied up in that as well. And so it's not just for Luka to go out and say he's first team. You don't have to be on first team to know that Luka Doncic is a first team caliber player in this league. But it just comes down to the business side of it. And so it's a lot the way. It's a gift and a curse, because I'm glad that the conversation is starting to happen, because it does need to be tinkered. It does need to be changed. There is a lot of gray area. And as you can see, it's affecting the top guys in the league. And so now you're going to have a first, second, and third team all NBA that's going to be off kilter a little bit, because there are guys that's not going to be involved in that conversation who's absolutely deserved to be so. And so, you're going to see some uproar about some guys making a first, second, or third team that, fans and people around the league are going to feel like they're not deserving of being in that spot because of this 65-game rule. And so because of that, I'm happy and I'm grateful that the conversation is even being had.
But
I mean, basically,
can I ask this question?
Go ahead, sorry. Yeah,
so this eliminates Ant, Luka, and Cade, right?
Yeah, as of now,
so that,
yeah.
I think with money, when money gets involved, right? If you're on All NBA, you're eligible for that max. So then it pushes like however much money there is for max players throughout the league, and there's only 15. Now it pushes like in a category of 20, kind of like pigeonholes teams to where, all right, this guy was an All NBA player because 4 players weren't eligible, and now we're sitting with a point here where we have to give them max money because of.
That's a great point.
Because the guy's being injured. So, like we said, George, there's a lot of gray areas. It's going to be some guys that's going to benefit from this, and it's going to be a detriment to some of these guys. There is a gray area that needs to be addressed.
So, George, I'm wondering this because we've sort of like played with all these ideas, and I think one of them was sort of have a committee. Obviously, what Luka's about to do here is a version of a committee. He is going to the league with a special circumstances request that they take a look at. I believe that Cade, with a collapsed lung, should have some sort of a path to where he can appeal this. Wouldn't that fix it? I mean, we've seen committees, and we saw a committee in golf allow a dude to use a cart in a tournament. Like, wouldn't that be something that maybe makes the league feel better, and then the players also have a way out?
Yeah, I think it's more of like a parallel, right? It allows us to, feel like we're a part of it together, the NBA being it's an award and us being available to play. If you can go in front of a committee and be like, hey, I'm doing everything in my power to be able to play, and a collapsed lung, a pulled hamstring, like those things are serious injuries where you don't want your star asset, as the NBA would look at it, our stars, to go out there and injure themselves for longer. But they also need to be rewarded for, the product that they've been putting out there all year. I mean, you look at what Cade Cunningham has done in Detroit. I mean, that's phenomenal. And then you look how Luka has come back after the summer and what he's been able to do this year. And then to not be rewarded for that because of happenstance and injuries that happen because, you know, we play 3-4 nights out of the week and are traveling all over the country, traveling all over the country. I think it's just it's unfair, but I do think a committee would allow it to be a parallel where there can just be a discussion about it and be like, hey, this is what we're willing to accept and this is what we're not willing to accept. And I think the NBA would lean more towards, you know, we're not going to accept you having rest games. Like that's not a thing.
So the first team All NBA is going to be interesting. And when historians look back on this season and they don't see Cade and they don't see Luka, but they see their stats, it's going to be very confusing for some. Take a look now. Talk to me about your first team. At this point, we're thinking SGA, Jokic, Wembanyama, Jaylen Brown, and then we've got to figure out that fifth spot. Provided, of course, everybody finishes up in these last several games. What do you guys make, Lou, of what first team All NBA is going to look like now with those three missing?
It's going to be weird a little bit. You know, it's some guys that's played really well. Now they're going to have an opportunity to be first team. Now, what does that look like? You know, you got Tyrese Maxey out there who's had a great year. You got to give credit to Kawhi Leonard for what they've been able to do from the start of the season to where they are now and how they battle back and clawed themselves back into position that they are in. And a lot of that credit goes to Kawhi Leonard. Donovan Mitchell out in Cleveland, what he's been able to do, what he's been able to sustain out there for the Cavaliers. You know, you got Brunson, you got Kevin Durant, you got a lot of different guys who've held their weight, and now they're in that conversation. Now, you know, obviously at the top of it, you still got SGA, you still got Nikola Jokic, you still got Victor Wembanyama, and you still got Jaylen Brown. Those guys are deserving. Now, who gets that fifth spot? I say this comes down to the wire. You know, I think how many games we got left in this season? That's one of these guys that I just named off that's still kind of on the outside looking in, whether they're second or third team right now. They should have some big games. Somebody should separate themselves with one big night and try to get themselves in a position from going from second team to first team. Because like George just mentioned, this is not just about name and reputation. This is about millions and millions of dollars that you can possibly be eligible for just by being on that first team. So if I'm these guys, hey, the door is still open and I'm going out and getting it. But if I'm picking a guy right now, it's hard for me to do so because all of these scenarios are different. Tyrese Maxey sustained all year and kept his team in contention. Kawhi Leonard fought to get his team back into contention. Donovan Mitchell has been consistent all year. All of those three scenarios are unique in their own way, but all deserving of attention and respect. So I don't know who gets that last spot.
This is nuts. This is nuts, George. Like somebody's really going to walk in. Not walk in. They've all earned it. But I wonder if they would sort of feel weird about it. And here's why, because you guys are world-class competitors. One of the quick fixes that's sort of been thrown around out there is that these guys that are going to miss first team that rightfully should have been automatically then are on third team All NBA. And I don't know, George, if you feel like you earned first, how's that going to feel?
Now, I've been around some superstars and that ego takes a bruise. Yeah, that's not. Oh, I get the third place, and they're gonna sit in the locker room and tell me how they're better.
That sounds like a participation award to me, George.
Sounds rough.
Then you talk about people that, you know, the money aspect. I think it's like you're saying millions and millions. I don't think people understand that. That's like 50 million. Like when someone signs for like 5 years, 60, and they don't get first team, it goes from 260 to 210. And I know your life doesn't change, but you know, you build up these bad habits when you have a lot of money, and you know, 50 million is a
50 million is 50 million. I don't care how you cut it, George. 50 million is 50 million.
I mean, that's like two more really nice houses. Come on now. We can't have that.
That's the difference between you having a great life and your sister and your brother and your mom and your cousin. It changes things. You know, it's very relevant. Very relevant.
That's a lot of money. This is gonna be a crazy situation. The league's got so many things on the table right now.
But listen, like I said, it is a gift and a curse. It is a good and a bad thing because now we are forced to have this conversation out loud, not behind closed doors. Now let's have it in the public and let's have a conversation about this 65-game rule that players have always hated to begin with. So now that this is on the front steps of everybody's attention, Let's have the conversation because everybody knows Luka deserves to be in this conversation and not ineligible. Everybody knows that Cade Cunningham is supposed to be in this conversation. Everybody knows that Ant Edwards is supposed to be in this conversation. They deserve it. They've put the work in and they've done the things that's needed to be done. And now you're telling them, well, since you're injured, we're just gonna put you on third team. No, we don't want the cookie. Like we don't want the participation award. We want what we deserve and we want what we earned. And so if you're telling Luka one game is the difference between 50 million and two of those games he spent with his daughter overseas during the course of her birth, and some of these other games, technical fouls or whatever you have, that's part of the game. So we can't really factor all of that in, but you're just telling us that 64 games instead of 65, he's not worthy of being in that conversation. I'm not rolling.
It just really messes up the history books.
Yeah, do you essentially just come in? I hate to bring it like school, but since Michelle was like, excuse me. Yeah. Do we do like excused absences or something? I think you have to go. Huh?
That was a doctor's note. Him being away from the team for his daughter's birth, that's a doctor's note.
That was real.
Yeah. Like there has to be like a little leap, whether if it's like a 5-game cushion where you are given like 5 excused games.
Gray areas. There are gray area absences that can be discussed. Like there's something that's coming. It's coming. All right. I'm going to be rolling my eyes, but my Botox is fresh, so you can't tell it. But here we go with the Giannis crap. It continues. This weekend, we get more drama out of Milwaukee. So now there's an investigation that's being launched between the situation between the Bucks themselves and Giannis. George, this has been ongoing. He wanted a nice breakup. Those aren't really realistic sometimes, and now it's going to get really, really ugly. So he said that, you know who you're dealing with. So for somebody to come and tell me not to play or compete, it's like a slap in my face. Obviously, the team's trying to protect their asset. How does this end, in your opinion?
Yeah, that we could go on and on about how this ends, but usually these types of breakups don't end too pretty. I think the simple matter of fact is that this is like the nail in the coffin. This is coming to an end, and I think that's made clear by these comments.
It's dead already, George.
Yeah, I mean it's unfortunate, right? Like they won a championship together. They had great success, but what's the saying, Lou? All things come to an end, and
all great things come to an end.
Yeah, and that's what we're looking at. And George, you still close to the game, so I know you tiptoeing a little bit, but I'll say it's dead already. It's done and it's out. And I understand what Giannis is saying. It's a slap in the face to ask me not to play or compete if I'm available. But this has been going on since the beginning of time. You guys not in playoff contention. That's done. There's no positives in putting you back out on the floor. We understand the sentiment, but this has been going on for ages. I experienced it in Kobe's farewell tour. I didn't play the last 10 games of the season. Metta World Peace didn't play the last 10 games of the season. We were shut down. Kobe Bryant would have been shut down had it not been his farewell tour, because you're not in playoff contention. When these things happen, you shut down anybody and everybody that can possibly be an asset to you moving forward. And so, the Milwaukee Bucks aren't wrong for this. And for what it's worth, Giannis isn't wrong for wanting to play, but he also knows the landscape of the business. He knows this goes on. This ain't his first rodeo. And so all the tit for tat going back and forth stuff in the public, and now you're getting the NBPA involved with investigations and all of that stuff. It's just going to be hard for a guy to come back to a team when you involve other people to lift the hood up under our personal and our private business. And so for that, I don't see this being something that can be reconciliated. But if I'm the Milwaukee Bucks, I want him to be healthy going into the offseason, because he is a major asset, whether he plays for us again or not, which I don't think he will. But you need him being healthy going into the offseason, simple and plain. And he knows that.
This lesson, by the way, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to break up with someone, it is so much easier to just say that at the beginning than do this. Because now we're here, and the resentment will be very, very strong from the fans. Not only that, but your brothers had jobs this whole time. So let's settle down with the slap in the face business. I think they've shown you a lot of respect. That being said, I don't know who looks worse, to be honest.
Holy smoke.
George, I cannot tell. Literally like 2 years ago, we said he's going to the Knicks. He's going to the Knicks, but he wanted to be the good guy and never say I want to leave, which is fine. now we get this, and there will be a lot of resentment because you just didn't rip the Band-Aid off, dude. That being said, that there, by the way, did you see that there was talk that they had been discussing a trade with the Knicks? I knew that was going to happen. And if you would have just said it, George, in the middle of the season, we could have avoided all of this, wouldn't we?
Lou, we're in a part. Everyone's just airing out dirty laundry. You're in an argument. Then the person from over there is telling how this person did that. Like you're catching.
That's a
you
breakup.
You don't know what's happening now.
We love the soap opera part of all sports. We love it.
But couldn't we have avoided it? Because now this is where all of that other stuff comes up. Like, oh yeah, well, what about that one? We could have avoided this.
It's been mismanaged by both sides. And at the beginning, I was with Giannis. I understood what was being done. Look, this is your legacy, and you've created that legacy in Milwaukee. You don't want to leave a team that you've won a championship with, and you've accomplished so many different things and built culture and been a part of that community, only to be booed out of the door at the end of it. You don't want that feeling. You don't want that sentiment. So Giannis tried to do everything in his power to say, hey, I want to leave, but I don't want this to be on my reputation. I don't want anybody to be mad at me. And then on the Bucks side, now you're starting to see all of this sloppy stuff go on that's supposed to be behind the scenes, that's playing out in the public. And so both sides have mismanaged this whole thing. At first I said that, Giannis, he should let his representation do all of the talking and let his agents do it. Let him earn their money. And that was what was being done. And now he's starting to talk, and now it's getting messy again, simply because of he's trying to save face, and he wants this breakup not to be a bad breakup. And I respect it. Again, I've never been in Giannis' position, but I can feel him. I understand where he's coming from. He just doesn't want that bad feeling of when he comes back to Milwaukee, he wants to be celebrated. He's seen other superstars come back to towns that they've put so much work in and be booed, or jerseys get burned, or the video tribute is a little shaky and it's weird, or you don't get one at all. He wants that standing O. He wants that respect, and he wants that attention, and it's much deserved. But this whole thing has been mismanaged on both of their parts.
Yeah, I would say the truth of the matter is there's a lot more power to when these things don't get out into the media, and now everybody has an opinion and can kind of spin these narratives. Now you can turn whole franchises to have a sour feeling in their mouth with, how this is being handled, which is unfortunate because, like I said before, they both did a lot of great things. They brought a championship back. Like, that's a small fraternity. And I hope that this doesn't end in getting booed out the door. But it's not heading in a direction that seems to be
It's really not.
positive, and the media seems to be making comments about this every 2 weeks.
I'll say this as the spokesperson for the fans on this panel. We in San Antonio, we didn't want to hate Kawhi Leonard. Like, that was not in the list of things that we wanted to do. And that breakup was really ugly. And he got booed several times on his return. And I feel for Giannis, because I feel like if we keep heading down, I don't think fans want to hate Giannis. He's the greatest Buck for most of the young ones, especially. But here we are. It's a bummer, not going to lie. But we got good news on the other side, because on Saturday, we had what possibly could be the best game of the entire season. We will talk about that next.
Run it up, run it back, yeah.
Boy, did we get something fun on Saturday. The Jokic Wemby show, an overtime thriller. Denver comes out with the win, 136-134. Jokic with 48, 13 assists, 3 blocks. Wemby finishes with 34, 18, 7 assists, and 5 blocks. It is the 8th straight win for Denver. I believe San Antonio was going for 12 on that one. Couldn't get it. It's 100% what playoff basketball is going to hopefully look like. I'm going to start with you, George. The fact that we got overtime out of this, I was thrilled just because I wanted more. Tell me what you thought on this one.
Oh, these are amazing. These are the games that you have during the regular season where you really look forward to playoff basketball, because that was just peeling the curtain back and giving us a front row seat of what this matchup would be in the playoffs. And you love it when both guys on each team show up. Like, Jokic had a phenomenal game. I think Wemby was phenomenal. It was just had you at the edge of your seat the whole time. And the fact that it went into overtime was like, you get 5 more minutes of bonus basketball. It was a thriller, and I enjoyed every second of it. It's crazy to think how, the bigs in this game have really, they can do it all. I mean, you look at what Wemby can do, you look at what Jokic can do. There's not before, when I first came in the league, it was like, get down to the block, post up, we'll throw you in the ball. And now it's, bringing the ball up, catching it on the wing, playing a point forward. The game has really evolved, and these two are spearheads of that, especially at the big man position.
Yeah, I'm glad at this point of the season we got a quality game from a big time matchup, because usually seeds are already locked in and everybody know where they're going in the postseason. But Denver needed this game. They needed this game to know where they are in seeding. So I'm glad that everybody was involved and everybody participated. And we got some good fireworks out of it. Both teams played amazing. And it came down to just who's going to make one more play than the other team. And so we got to see two of our heavyweight champions of the league in Wemby and Jokic go head to head. Both teams played extremely well. You didn't really know how the outcome was going to go. So this is a great appetizer going into some postseason basketball for us to get ready and get prepared for. But I loved it. I love everything that I saw in this game, from the aggression from both superstars. And like I said, from guys just making play after play. Jamal Murray was a vibe. He made big plays in that game. So just to see everybody involved in such a pivotal playoff contending game that meant something to both of these teams, it was good to see. I enjoyed watching this game the other night.
And you're not lying, by the way, because Denver is still playing for something. And now that the Lakers are hobbled as badly as they are, if they get the 3 seed, Denver, they would play the Spurs in round 2. But regardless, they would either play them or the Thunder. And then if they were to win that, face the Spurs in the Western Conference Finals. So saying all of that, Lou, good Lord, if Denver were to make it to the finals, this would be one of the tougher gauntlets we've seen in quite some time, right?
And what's a better team than the Denver Nuggets to be prepared for a road like that? Like they have what it takes, and they've seen it before. So it's going to be a tough route, but in the Western Conference, it's going to be a tough route regardless. Now, this might be the toughest route. There's a lot of potholes on that road that they going to have to maneuver and get around and deal with. And my gosh, man, if they get there, you got to give these dudes a lot of credit. You almost got to put them as the favorite if they can go through all of this and put themselves in a position to compete for an NBA championship. Like if they got to go through both of these guys, it's gonna be tough. But again, Denver has been that team that had some ups and downs, couldn't really find footing, got bit by the injury bug a little bit, and wasn't as consistent as they've been in past years. But now, as we get to the end of the season, you can start seeing them get ready for a run and really put themselves in a position. They're the winners of 8 straight, so that should tell you everything about their mentality going into these games. So, going out there and using San Antonio and battling it out in the overtime win, to use that as kind of a measuring stick of what it's going to take for them to be in a position to win an NBA championship. They've been dealing with it well, and they've been preparing themselves for it just as well moving forward for them.
George, I want to ask you this because I'm kind of curious to see if you see it this way. So we talk a lot about Wemby and Chet, and I think it's because they both came into this league within a year of each other. There's been a rivalry. I know we want one. But then you have Wemby and Jokic, which has a completely different vibe. This one feels more sort of a respect on both sides towards the other, at least a lot more than it does towards Chet. Which one do you like more? Like, which of these two rivalries do you really want to see more of?
I don't know. I think after recency bias is a real thing. So
Yep.
I would have to say, after what I saw on Saturday, the Wemby Jokic one, I mean, I'm going to have my popcorn out and get my seat ready, because this is, I mean, it's box office. This is unreal. It's like, the great heavyweight fight. This is what you pay to see. Those two are the top tier big men in our game, if not the best, battling for the number 1 spot. And
stop it with that, Jokic. Stop it.
No, it's unreal. I'm going to have to lean towards this one, and nothing against, the Chet and Wemby, but I mean, Jokic is a how many time MVP? Like, and Wemby's like supposed to be is looking like the face of the league, coming and evolving right in front of our eyes. Like, how can we turn? It would be disrespectful for me to turn that down and say that rivalry is one that I'm looking for.
Yeah, I gotta agree with G. This is the rival we were looking for. Like, and not only that, but they're both the marquee guys for their team, and they guarded each other and they challenged each other, and we got an overtime thriller out of it. When it comes to Chet and Wemby, we love that matchup. We love those guys going at it. But SGA is gonna be the guy that the tension is gonna be on, and he's probably gonna get more opportunities to try to win that game than Chet is. Chet is one of the best players on that team, but Wemby is absolutely the best player on his team. Jokic is the best player on his team. So when you get those two type of guys against each other and that type of matchup, you love to see it. And we got everything that we wanted out of it. So I want to see more of it, especially in the postseason for sure.
We've got to see a lot of Jokic Wemby interactions already, all-star locker rooms and such. He was asked after this one about competing against Wemby and what improvement he's seen so far. Here's Jokic.
I think the first time I played against him, I told you guys that he's going to change the league. He's going to change the basketball, and I still think that, and I think he has an opportunity, a chance to be the most unique basketball player ever played the game.
Hella respect right there. You can feel it. You can see it. We do this every few years. I know some people hate it, but Lou, as far as big men go, when it's all said and done, and I know they've evolved a lot in what a big man is, but are we looking at the two best possibly 5-10 years from now?
Possibly, but there's a lot of history there, and we got a lot of guys that we love and what they've done. What I will say is I love the fact that how the position has evolved based on, some of the things that guys did. Like if you look at Shaq and some of these other guys, you looked at them and you said, wow, they're really dominant, but how can I change the game? How can I be different? How can I add something? And then you look at Jokic, he's been able to add. Now you look at Wemby, he's been able to add something, and they both evolved the game based off the structure and the foundation that some of our all-time greats have built. So can they be the best in NBA history? Absolutely. But they still got a lot of work to be done. Jokic has put his footprint on it by having 3 MVP trophies and a championship. He's already paved his way. Early in his career, he's already HOF by everybody's imagination. I can't imagine anybody saying that he's not already a Hall of Famer. And Wemby is right there. He's building blocks, but it has to be a consistency body of work where we can look back and we can say, these are the 2 best guys to ever do it, because there are some great guys way before that. If we want to go, in the black and white days, you got Wilt Chamberlain, you got Bill Russell. If you want to go in the more recent days, you got Kareem you got Hakeem Olajuwon, you got Shaq, and you also can put Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in that conversation. Those are the pillars of the game, and there are no slouches. Dwight Howard is in that conversation. So what all of these guys have been able to do and evolve the game, they got to be in the conversation, but they're still in their careers. They're still fire hot right now, and they're still building out legacies.
Could you imagine getting Jokic over here for his Hall of Fame? Like, hey, you need to stop riding horses over there in Tokyo. This is really important. He's like, no, I got other stuff to do.
Well,
but his speech would be great.
Well, when we're in it, George, we're kind of stuck in ourselves. But once you get out of the game and that attention die down and everybody's not really looking for you after 4 or 5 years, you're dying to get in front of a camera and talk some stuff and tell people how good you were at one point in your career. So right now, I don't see Jokic just doing so, but let it get quiet for 4 or 5 years, and it come time for him to do his Hall of Fame speech. He'll be there for sure.
He's a different dude.
But Beads, can you attest to this? Because you've seen a lot of basketball in your heyday. Now, these two big guys have literally eliminated being having to rely on other people to get them the ball, and I think that's kind of where the game has kind of like evolved, right? Where it's like, okay, back in the day, if you wanted to slow down Shaq, which was nearly impossible, you probably would not let someone throw the ball into him or double team. Now it's like they're alleviating that because these guys can receive the basketball at anywhere on the court and be impactful and extremely effective. Whereas before, the game was more or less like you need a point guard that can get your big man the ball. If you can't get a point guard to get your big man the ball, it kind of made the game tougher for the team to win. And now these guys are like, forget it. I can get a defensive rebound, push the ball up the court. I can play point guard. I can get guys involved. Sometimes you look out there and Denver doesn't even have a point guard. They'll have 4 other power forwards out there with Jokic, and he's running the show. And I think that's the most impressive part is when you can diversify your game and really not really have too many holes, especially on the offensive end, that becomes remarkable. And the fact that you're also 7 foot and however big Wemby is, and to have that skill and flow and movement, whereas Lou, you've seen plenty of big men that can't walk and chew gum at the same time. So the fact that these guys can do that is puts them in a category of their own along with the elites.
God, the
It's
evolution
different.
is awesome to watch in real time. We're going to take a quick break. Some more Run It Back on the other side.
Run it up, then run it back. Run it up, run it back.
Well, tonight it all ends. George, I know you like college ball. UConn, Michigan. How are we feeling? Who we taking?
I mean, I wasn't high on UConn to start the tournament, but it almost seems like this, if the shoe fits, Cinderella may be talking to me. But then again, I look at how massive Michigan is. We roll in college, rolling out like 7'4", 6'11", and 6'9" in your front court. I'm like, how do you really beat that? So I'm torn, but I guess I'm gonna go with Michigan and say that they get it done.
Okay.
You sure? You don't sound sure.
Some big blue action here. We got the Fab Five will
I think
probably be in the
I-
house. You got all the guys.
No, I come on, Beads, what's wrong with you?
No, they were like, this has been a fun, hey, those are all former NBA players kind of moment watching these games this weekend. So yeah, it's a battle.
And it was
Yeah,
good.
no,
It's good to see the Fab Five all together
Yeah.
and kicking it and being cool. So that's dope to see. But I don't know. Coach Hurley has made me a fan over these past couple weeks. He's made me a big fan. Like I'm seeing a lot of former players and players still in the game said, if I had an opportunity, I'd play for that dude. And I have to agree. Any coach that's gonna put his forehead on the referee's forehead and nothing happens from that. And he's celebrating and his jacket is off his shoulder and he's in that moment with you and not too cool for school. I love it. I would have played for him as well. So, from that alone, I got UConn. I like UConn.
Lou, you had to
Lou,
have
if somebody
gone to-
put their
it's
forehead
not
on
to be a
you,
thing.
come on. That's rude. Y'all would not be cool with forehead to forehead action on you.
No, but it was cool to see it.
It's cool if somebody else got to do it.
It was cool
That would make
somebody
me
else
so-
did it. Don't
would
put
make
your
me so
forehead on my
angry.
forehead. I'll probably go
Don't
tap
even
you
get
in that
here.
forehead.
By the way, do you guys have any opinion on who goes first? With the whole who's going first in this year's draft that is being claimed as stacked has changed 37 times in the last 3 months. Anybody have a claim on who's going first now? Has it changed, George?
I mean, I would say, it depends on what team. But what were people saying? Because I've heard Darren Peterson is first, but
That was first. Now DeBonsa seems to be getting some actual consideration as a top.
next
I
thing
think
you
the
know,
Peterson
someone's gonna
Give me
say
Caleb
something crazy at the combine, and then they're gonna drop it.
exactly.
I mean, I like what I saw from Darren Peterson and AJ DeBansa. So I also have a biased look because I was in Utah, and they love
Good
AJ
point.
DeBansa out there.
We,
So
we know, George. We've heard about it.
Yeah.
We know all about the connections out in
yeah,
Utah.
exactly. So that's where I'm like, okay, I always thought he was going to be the number one pick. Then people are like, Darren Peterson's the number one pick. So I guess I'd have to just stick with AJ.
I guess it depends on who gets the pick. If that's
Sure.
the case.
Yeah,
It's not clear cut, which I think is important.
Yeah.
It's not a clear cut.
But
like that.
what George just said, when it comes down to biases, like I'm a Caleb Wilson guy. That's a young fella. He from around the way, and so I want to see him be the number one pick. I love the way he carries himself. I love what he was able to do in his freshman year. Had an injury at the end, but just been super positive. Been somebody that you can look at and say this is a high character kid, and I just love the way he carries himself. So I'm a big Caleb Wilson fan. I like AJ as well. I like Peterson as well. Those guys are gonna be game changers for any team that they go to. But if you're asking me, I'm openly saying that I'm biased and I like Caleb Wilson.
That is all sports. That's what being a fan is, Lou. Bias, and I'm
Absolutely.
here for it. If you're not a top 10 guy, and the NIL is what it is, which is glorious, Lou, do you just stay, play another year, be a big man on campus, make some cash, go in the next one?
Yeah, the NIL has changed the game so much. The one thing that the NIL has done is it's put guys in a position that they kind of feel like I wouldn't mind staying in college. This $2-3 million ain't so bad after all. I would stay in college. Usually your hand is pretty much forced to go to the NBA. So, if you're not a surefire top 10 guy and you can stay back and make a few $1 million while you're in class with less stress and less pressure on you to do so, I'd say why not? But also, if your main goal is to be an NBA player and that's something that's on your vision board and you really want it, go for it. go for it. You know, that money spends just the same. And you got an opportunity to get to way more money than 2 or 3 million a lot quicker if you go ahead and go to the NBA opposed to staying in college. But hey, what do I know? I haven't experienced the NIL thing. I don't really know what's going on. But, you know, I've always been a go to the NBA guy, no matter at what stage. I was a 17-year-old kid, and I didn't care where I was going to get drafted and not declare for the draft. I didn't care. So that's
fair.
the person that you're asking this question to.
Plus,
Yeah,
not
no,
everyone loves being in college, right, George? Like some people just want to get out. It's time.
Never crossed my mind.
I loved every second of it. It was a great experience for me, Lou. I wish you could have shared the same experience. I'm sure you have a lot of great experiences being in the NBA as a 17-year-old, but I would have lost my mind if I was in the NBA.
It's a great point.
So
I just didn't at my time. I just didn't understand waking up early to work out and being hungry at lunchtime. I just didn't understand that concept.
Oh, life. Guys, George, always come back. We're going to have a whole ton of playoff shows.
Great show, George.
We'll be back tomorrow.
Appreciate you guys.